Hello, nice to meeting you. Thanks to invite me. It's a big honor. I'm based in Paris. I am a global black belt at Microsoft in NoSQL, and I will show you a real example how we can build very quickly and fast with using different Azure services, restaurant management applications. And the goals arrived during the COVID. There are some restaurants where I live who don't make any delivery at this period. And I say, yeah, why not make a kind of sample applications and working on this? So what I will do, I will really build web applications that manage restaurants. And of course, any applications need a persistence layer. And for this, I will use a NoSQL engine systems. So let's just do a quick introduction. So before to build my applications, and the application you are going to show, needs some business needs. So they needs to have a kind of automatic module of authentication where a user can register, receive an email that he is welcome, and after have the capacity to log in with their own login and password. We will propose, and the restaurant have some food, but they change the starter every day. They change the main course every day. So you need a kind of product catalog that you can expose with an administration page. And when you log in, you will see this product catalog. We will store all the order of the people. We're making some aggregations. How many order do you have made? How much have you spent, for example? And due it's an online system of delivery, what they want, for example, they want to have suspicions detection fraud. So if I order from Paris, but I use an IP from US, maybe it's a fraud detections. And of course, we want to open at multiple language, multiple things. Why can I not use a translation system, especially for the menu? Technical need when I start, I didn't know a lot around Python, so I tried to find a language of development and framework to easy work, especially in a web framework. So that's why I decided to use Python and Flask. So all is in Python and Flask. It was really easy to develop because you have all the SDK, especially with Cosmos, there are different SDK, and you work with Dict, and Dict is a JSON. So very easy to work all of this. After, especially, can I have some service API where I can call to translate, for example, and accelerate my business requirements? Yes. And okay, now I have developed my application. It's on my laptop. How can I publish my web application? This is easy to deploy, redeploy, because I will have new feature asked by the people, and all having one database that's all these business needs. So my persistent layer, what they need? They need to have the capacity to store data, structured or non-structured data, like authentications, menu. It's very structured data. It can be relational. Okay, order, but I want order and all the data are order. So it's more non-structured data on aggregation. And fraud. Fraud is very different because I want to store user, what's the IP used by user, what city, and make some, not really a select, but try to make a discovery. For all, I want to have a flexible schema, so capacity, especially for the new features, to add new information like country, city, phone number of the user. All will be in native JSONs. And I want especially a full managed database. So that means all made by automatic backup, auto index, scale up, scale down, if possible, if it can be a serverless database where I will pay only if it's consumed or not consumed. So if my application it's a success, I will pay, but it's better because that means I will have a lot of order and it will like very high responsive. I would like to have the capacity to have global distributions and very easy to scale. And of course, I want something very easy to develop. Can I have SDK very easy? Can I have an event system? So when a new user register, can I have information and send this information? Best is to make a demo. So here, what I will do, I will first, of course, every people know Python app on API. So I will launch locally my applications and we will discover. So my applications will be launched directly in Python. And here, when I go, I have, and everybody can go, and I will send the link at the end of the sessions. You have this application, it's deployed in a web application, so you can create your app. Of course, here I have deployed locally, for example, for some tests and all, and you can see you can create an account. I will say, okay, let's create an account for me. I will say, okay, I live in Paris, France, country. I will give password, and here I will sign in. So this is just a sign. What you was done, it just write in a database the new systems, and now I can log in. So I can log in as Emmanuel and having, and here I can choose a language, for example, and I say, okay, by default, all my menu is in English. Let me take, for example, Italian and login. What happened here, you will go to login, of course, and when he log, he will go to check um, my menu, and you can see the menu of the day with some starter, main course, dessert. And here you have the description, my database in English, and I have had automatic translation using Azure Translate. Very easy. I can choose the different language, detect. Here for this menu, of course, I can do and select what I want to order. So yes, I'm a database developer, I'm a Python developer, but not web user or user interface developer. So it's not very nice or beautiful HTML, but it's here to explain. And here, when I made my order, what you will do, you will just add a new order, and I can see that I have a number of order 12, and I have spent this total of amount. So I go to run in the order database, and here I have had in a graph database the new command, so the new IP, if I use the new information. And here, for example, to show you, I can go and connect my graph and query my graph to see, okay, for this IP address, who have used this IP address? There are different people, for example, and he deleted from which city he have make this order. And here I can see that is in relationships with a lot of city, a lot of order. So this is the applications developed, very simple. Now let me go back and explain a little more around the architecture, what I have used in terms of services, and after, of course, show you the code. So how to choose the right database? I will say the first module was authentications. Authentications, what I have do, I have send and write something in the NoSQL, and I have used in Cosmos DB something named ChangeFeed. ChangeFeed have systems integrations with Azure functions. So that means every time I have write something and modify something, it's launched on Azure functions, and I have received, for example, an email. Let me go back. Here you can see that I have my function run, and he say that I have one document modified with the name Emmanuel. And if I go to my email here, I should have received an email. Oh, yes. So the functions, because I changed something in my database, send me an email. It's just a sample. Of course, you can do what you want in terms of integrations behind the scenes. So here, very simple, write my information in a NoSQL database, all managed database, and working with this. After, why I would choose Cosmos DB? Because all is in one collection. All the user partition key to scale is very easy here. It's my email. It's my unique identifier for the people. Easy to scale fast. It's a full managed services with serverless. I will pay as consumed, so I use Cosmos DB serverless, and very high performance. Very easy to program, change feed, link to function directly. I have capacity to have a change feed, so build an event programming. Let me show you, for example, quickly, what is this in my database. So here I have my database. It's my Cosmos DB. If I go to the overview, you can see I use a serverless capacity. I'm based in West Europe. And if I go to the Data Explorer here and show you, I have my table, right, with all the informations of the user. Oh, sorry, it's not the right table with the user with all these informations. Here, sorry, it's another email, but it's just what I had. And here I have the last update of the information of the document. So all manage, some feature activate, very easy to use, and change feed to launch directly an Azure function. So very interesting and very easy to program and to do. After when I'm registered, yes, I have an admin page and I have my login page. When I log to my login page, it will run, check the menu of the day. It will call a translator. Okay, all in Flask API. The translator will give back some description in the language choice when I made the login. And all the menu is stored in a Cosmos Mongo API. I can do the same with NoSQL and Cosmos Mongo. I do one with NoSQL API, one with Azure Cosmos Mongo API, just to for training purpose, for educational purpose. But and show you that there are really no difference, just different SDK that I use. Here I use a Mongo, and here's the Cosmos DB client. As you see in the menu, I have some images, and the images are stored in a Microsoft Azure Blob storage. So in my menu, I have the link directly to this. And when I made an order, the order is right directly in a Cosmos Mongo, Azure Cosmos Mongo API directly. So all order is one collection. So I have the order and the historical detail of the order. I update the order every time I receive an information. It's really a JSON native document. Please .save. It's very flexible because here the model change a lot. The order, I have all the historical. Some order have two plate. Some are 3, 4. Depends. It's a full managed application, and Mongo API very easy. You can find a lot of sample, for example, how to develop with Python on Mongo. So very easy to connect, to write a document, to read a document, to observe a document. And in all SDK, you have the concept of observe. If the document don't exist, I create. If the document exists, I will update. Very interesting. Other things that in Azure Cosmos DB, NoSQL or Mongo API, I can have an analytical store. So I can, with no ETL, I can connect, for example, Power BI to get statistics around where the order comes, where all this. I do with Mongo for training purpose. I can do the same with Azure NoSQL API. And when an order is done, I will go and write inside the gremlins the informations. So inside the graph, and when I launch my fraud detection page, my fraud detections go to the gremlins and query the gremlins from this CP, from this IP address. Please give me all the people we use, and for this email, give me all the city he has make some order. Of course, you can make more efficient query, but very easy to make a discovery of the data. So why I use Azure Gremlins? Because when you make one have a fraud graph model, system of object and relationship between object is very, very adapt. I use in Azure Cosmos DB Gremlins API, you use a standard Gremlins language, easy to reuse, easy to find some sample of query. It's a full manage. All is encrypted, all is secure. I can make in a VNet, all is serverless. So all my database here are serverless. And if I need, I can have a global distributions and it's enterprise ready. So let's show you now the code of my application and show you. So here you have my project. In my project, the main, of course, you have all the HTML page, but I will not go. So it's a Flask engine. And when you go here to my API, what I have done, I have really first include all the SDK, and you can find the Mongo, you can find all the gremlins Python. Will of course make all my connections in a config. So all my master key, my gremlins to connect to my gremlins, to connect to my endpoint with my translator services, all my clients. And here I have um, some methods to connect. It's more for very easy to do. Okay, I will get from my request form the name, the email, the password, the city, and I will say, okay, does the user exist? Yes or no. If the user exists, I will update my item. If it's not exist, I will create a new item. And how to write inside Cosmos here? Just container observe my item. And I will show my thing. So very easy. The login, very easy. I will just go to query my informations. Sorry, it's in the check. Okay, so I get my email, my password. I will detect the language. And here I will go, okay, the email is admin. I will go to my page with my manage page. If not, I will go check that the email and the password okay. Yes. In this case, I will go to call my API to detect the language and to translate the text I want. Here I just want add, and I will update and show this. So very, very, very easy. Something else, for example, I can detect all the change, and of course I can have functions that will be launched when something is new. But other things I have developed, and I will show you here, it's I can at any moment, for example, query and get to check if I have any change in my container. So here my container is the user container, and if I go to my Python code here, I can launch something in Python that changed. So it will connect, see if there are any change happened since the last times, and it will show me all the information that they have changed. So all the last informations. It's take a little of times, but it's the same on the functions. It will detect all the events happen. Let me continue. I will come back after. Just because the time fly and maybe there are some questions, it's Alf. So why I use Python, web application translator, Azure Cosmos DB together? I already have one model of database. It's the same operational system. It's serverless. It's full managed. All my, I will say, backup are considered the same. I use all our same encryptions. Inside Cosmos DB, I can create a Cosmos DB Gremlins API. I can create a Cosmos DB document database or NoSQL API or Mongo API. So here I have already two kind of model I need to use for my applications: a graph model for fraud and a document database. Graph model very adapt with Gremlins. It's an event-based database. So what I want is really when some new user register, we will receive an email. So making this kind of mechanics in automatics. And Azure artificial intelligence service are ready to help me, especially translator. In the future, if I want, for example, to give the possibility of restaurants to add their own images, I can have a content moderator to check if the images have, for example, it's prohibited in some country or all of this. I have all the SDK ready to and very easy to use. pmongo for the Mongo API, Cosmos DB client, very easy to use for Azure Cosmos NoSQL API. Gremlins, it's a standard Gremlins. Pythons can be used for Azure Cosmos, but other Gremlins database. And JSONs, because I work with object, and JSONs and Python are very easy to manipulate, especially with Dict. And Flask give me all the web framework. In addition, when I have developed my web applications, one of my goals was really to run an Azure inside the web app and deploy a Python web app. You have the Python runtime now in web applications and already one CLI command, and all is very, very easy to develop. So how to deploy a web app in Python? I send here, I put the link of translator, or the link of Cosmos DB. You have the link of the applications and the link of the code. So here you can go in my, in my GitHubs, you will see the NoSQL app. In the NoSQL app, you will see all the concept and all the code in more detail. So you can go introspect how all was done. If you're interested, for example, here I made a query to detect how it's done. I will have, for example, what I have done, especially it's more for demonstrations purpose. I don't, based on the IP, go to detect the city. I made something not very, very clean. I just make a list and a random choice in the list. But here, okay, you had, for example, update your email, update one. So you have some method to update and to add some information. And here I go to execute a Gremlins query, for example, to give me all my labels. So Gremlins, it's particular language, but something easy to develop and something very easy to use, especially with Python, because you can create a generic method like execute gremlins and send all your informations to this. So very, very easy. Here I have my load. So I will add a new property user with email use. I will have a new city where the command was order. And here it's more, for example, try to add the relationships between the two. So if you go in, for example, the graph database, so here I have a Cosmos graph, you can directly through the graph show my graph, you can introspect, and here, for example, I can show from my graph where are all the information, all the relationships, so e-dilettant, he makes some order from Tunis, Clermont, Bruxelles, Paris. So I can see from every city he makes the information. You will have a lot of details. You can check the query statistics, what was the statistic of the request, and you can introspect and go directly in different, go inside the graph and show inside the graph some information. So here I can see from Doha who have used, what are the emails who have used, for example, the Doha city, the order of Doha city. And last things I want to show you, it's here I have an Azure Cosmos Mongo request unit systems with serverless, and you can see one of the order, for example. So it was not the last. If I go back here, let me go back to sorry, here it's menu. Yes. Order, document, and so e-dilettant. So it was 11, now it's 12. I have the last order in terms of date. I have the total spend, and I have all the detail or all the order he have done. You can see in the image it's stored in the blob storage to recover all these informations. It's 30 minutes to present this. It's very quick. I don't know if you have any question.
Yeah. Hey, Emmanuel. Thanks so much for that. That was super awesome. We do have time for a quick question here. So KJ Miller asked, the runtime Python 3.9 was selected. Is there a service or feature that prevents using the latest version of Python?
No, in my case, I just used the last versions to deploy because it was really easy. But when you go to the web app in Python, you can select different runtimes of Pythons. I just use 3.9 just because I know it's work and I have no dependency of this framework no more. But it's really easy, and it's a by default last version.
Perfect. That makes sense. We also had questions on a link to your GitHub repo, which we'll put in the chat, and we will make sure to share out all of the links and information from all the sessions today with the attendees here. I don't know if you're pulling that back up here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, you have the code of the, so you have the code. It's explained that you need to create how to run this sample, that you need to create different systems, different Mongo, and change all the information in the config string. So you need to create one translator, one Gremlins, one Mongo API, one Cosmos, and it's explained.
Awesome. We'll add this link into the chat so that everyone can access this afterwards. Well, thank you so much, Emmanuel. I am here to introduce the next sessions. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us for Python Day.